Welcome back to my 5-part series where we are covering the foundations to optimal health. So now we're going to talk about fitness. Fitness is obviously extremely important, but again, we need to be focused on why we are exercising and what is it that we want to accomplish, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, if you are trying to exercise the weight off, please stop it. It ain't gonna work, I'm telling you, because it's not an efficient way to burn calories. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, wait a minute, doc. Okay, you had me until that, right? Because we hear it all of our lives. We have to exercise. Now, don't get me wrong, exercise is very important. But here's what I find. I find that a lot of the challenges with my clients that have inflammation, they're chronically fatigued, they have adrenal issues, hormonal issues. When you have all of these things, you're tired, you're inflamed, you're in pain. So if you just fight through that and you start exercising with no proper plan, what's gonna happen? You're gonna make things worse. You're either gonna injure yourself, or you're gonna make the inflammation worse, or you're gonna make the hormonal imbalances worse. Well, how would you do that? Well, if you have adrenal challenges and you're putting more stress on the adrenals by fighting through that fatigue or fighting through that pain, now it just makes things a lot worse than you were. So what is it that we need to do? The very first thing that we need to do is we want to make sure that your body's capable of exercising. You have to have the capacity. So a lot of times we make sure that we get the inflammation down first. We make sure that we get the gut repair, the detox. We want to make sure that we dial in the nutrition. And then that way, now your energy level's better. You're not as in much pain because the inflammation's down. So now you have the capacity to exercise. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that you should be a couch potato. Don't leave this video saying, oh, Dr. King said I don't have to exercise. No, we just have to make sure that we are doing it properly. All it takes, a goal of 30 minutes, 3 times a week, primarily with the goal of adding muscle. And the reason why we want to add muscle is because muscle burns more fat, more calories than any other tissue in the body. We want to make sure that we turn your body into the fat burning machine that it needs to be, rather than the fat storing machine that it's trying to become. So what we want to do is we want to build muscle. How does muscle burn more fat and more calories than any other tissue in the body? The reason is because the metabolic rate of muscle is so much higher than any other tissue. So when you build muscle, now you're burning more fat and more calories all day long, 24/7. How would you like to actually burn fat while you're sleeping? The way to do that is we have to add muscle. The other reason why muscle is so very important is because it maintains mobility and it protects the joints. So when you have injuries, whether it's joint injuries, if you have back injuries, it's literally the muscles that are supporting the structure and protecting the joints. So the way to prevent future injuries is to make sure that your core strength is solid. And the way to do that is with muscle. I'm sure that you've seen family members, friends, families, or people that you know that as soon as they lose mobility, they start going downhill very quickly, especially as we get older. So the name of the game is to maintain mobility. The way to do that is we have to maintain strength and we have to maintain muscle. So how do we know what type of exercise or fitness is right for you? Well, the first thing is we need an assessment. Where are you at? Because I have clients that are athletes and I have clients that have had strokes and injuries that are trying to rehab. Everyone's different. So the very first thing that we want to test for is your functional ability. There's 3 tests that you can do right at home that will tell you what your functional ability is. Number 1, the sit to stand test. This is where you see how well you can go from a seated position to a standing position without using your hands or any other thing to help you up. If you're able to do that, check off the box, okay? The second test is the TUG test, the time up and go test. So now you're not only going from a sitting to a standing position, but you're gonna stand up, you're gonna walk 3 meters, you're gonna walk back, sit down. And I want you to time how long it takes you to do that, okay? Because if you can imagine, if you had your 15-year-old grandchild doing that, they would be able to do it pretty quickly. right? How quickly can you do it? And then that is your baseline. This measures mobility, balance, and leg strength. Now, if you make it through those two, the next one is the single leg balance test. What I want you to do is I want you to remove your shoes. I want you to be barefooted, okay? Then on a flat surface, I want you to raise one leg where your knee is parallel. See how long that you can keep this. You should be able to keep this position with no problem. Then put this leg down and bring up. The next one should be 90 degrees. See how long that you can hold that, okay? This is not only going to test your strength, but is also going to test your balance and stability. If you can do those three things, now you can do more advanced testing. If you are struggling with any of those, then that is where I want you to focus, because we have to build that core strength first.